Hey guys, it's Mark and Brenda. Good morning.
Good morning. How we doing?
I'm doing great. I just saw you 5 seconds ago. So and the thing is, how is everybody else doing that's watching us? We're here to, as Mark calls us, Mop Up Monday. And we're going to mop up what the news happened over the weekend. And probably the biggest thing that we're going to talk about first thing, and then we have a bunch of other things to talk about, is uh, how Bitcoin and all the other alts dropped quite a bit over the weekend, and what the news was and what they were saying was the real reason why it dropped. So the first one you want to talk about, Mark, where they were talking about the potential money laundering issue.
Okay. I'm gonna go. Let me pull up my clip.
You have a clip on that?
Let's see. I don't know if I necessarily. Let me hold on here.
I don't know if you had a clip. I just wanted you to talk about it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, let me get out of it. Okay. Repeat what you said real quick.
I just said, okay. So
Well, there was okay. So you said the money laundering. Okay. So a report came out. I believe it was either late Friday. A report came out late Friday in regard to that money laundering going on in the cryptocurrency markets. Da 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 da. Honestly, I take everything with a grain of salt when it comes out of the media. You never know what. I just don't.
Do you remember what it said though about the money laundering? Can you tell the public what that was about, or no?
Don't have honestly. That's sometimes where I try to read into a story and then it's like, okay, you feel like something is being pushed on you. I didn't get too far. It really had to do, I believe, with from one bank to another. I don't.
Yeah, they were making allegations that possibly there was money laundering happening between the banks, and so then they were going to something might come out today, and so then the market, the crypto markets kind of panicked, and probably the weak hands that had just recently gotten in the last 6 months or so, or even the last month, with Dogecoin going up and everything, and so people kind of panicked, and so there was a big drop in that, and then people are now saying, were those really real reports or not, and who is pushing this narrative? And so we'll see, because sometimes things are just said in anything just to kind of move a story, and so we don't know if it's true or not. So it's just something that caused part of it.
Yeah, I think the one thing you have to be is try to be intellectually honest with yourself. And as we've gotten older, at least me personally, you're thinking, no, they don't manipulate markets, and you're like, yeah, they manipulate markets. People do. If you're big enough, you can make you can make a market move. If you're big enough, if you put out the right information, all of a sudden you get some people that are new into this arena, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, maybe I don't want to be in there because they don't quite understand where they're at, and they don't quite understand. Maybe they're not as quite as jaded as we are.
Jaded? No, I'm not jaded. We live in Chicago. We're not jaded.
Yeah. So I mean, I think there again, you have to step back. Okay, take a pause, take a sip of your coffee. Don't sweat anything. It all the dust. When the mess is, when the kerfuffle happens, the dust finally settles and things go back to normal. So, soldier on.
Well, so I'm going to talk a little bit about the hash rate, and why don't you start doing the screen share of that one tweet that the guy was talking about, the summary at the end. And so another thing that they're saying also that caused this was that there was an issue going on. Mark's not going to talk about this. He's going to talk about the summation of probably what happened. Is that there is you can share the screen as I'm talking, hon, and then you can talk about that.
I'm working on it. I'm just
move a little bit faster. So another thing is they're saying that there was an issue with the mining in China with some power outage in the coal mines or something like that, and that caused the hash rate of Bitcoin to go down dramatically. And so Mark's going to show that. I know there was someone that
shared.
Yep, it's perfect. Yep. So why don't you go ahead and read that? And so they're saying between all of that that's what caused it to crash. So you want to kind of talk about each one of those points?
Yeah, let me real quick. This is a gentleman that I have followed fairly recently, Willie Woo. Love the name.
If you're in Twitter, follow him. He's pretty cool.
Yep, yep. I listened to him on Peter McCormick's show, who has a podcast. I believe he also has a YouTube channel. So this is his summary. Initial sell-off due to anticipation of miners going offline in China.
That's what I just talked about. Yep.
Okay. Sell pressure was sufficient to trigger liquidation of short-term speculator positions, forcing price violently down. That's definitely.
Can you just elaborate that for like 3 sentences? Because maybe some people, the new people that are watching, we're kind of appealing to the new people in crypto. Like, what is the liquidation of short-term speculative positions?
Well, somebody who's looking to make money in and out quick. It has to do with how they're positioned in the market. The market starts to go down. Signals say that the market is going down, and now they start to sell because they want to make money. It's a but
the reason why, but hang on.
I'm not a trader, so I how I look at this is somebody's trying to get in. They're looking to make money off of a, what's the one thing everybody says about Bitcoin? It's volatile. Okay, so as a trader, and I'm not one, as a trader, that's where they're going to make their most money when, Bitcoin is flying up, flying down. So when it flies down, there must have been enough people that are short-term speculating that said, hey, I made some money here. I'm getting out. Okay, so.
Right, but don't you think that some of this, so the price was starting to tumble because of the news that was coming out that there was some money laundering and the banks were going to, do something big on Monday or something, or some of the banks across the world, not just here in the U.S.
Well, you got
that was one. Hang on, well, that was one of the issues, and then the other issue was this news that came out about the hash rate going down because of power issues in China and with the miners. So then this caused a price drop, which then caused the selling pressure, because everybody's like, oh my gosh, let's get out because it's going to go down a decent amount. And then isn't it with these short-term speculators, once they get over leveraged, once it reaches a certain point, I think then it forces them all, once they reach a certain point, I think it all has to kind of stop. I don't know if this is right or not, but
yeah,
that's what we get out of it. And so it wasn't just Bitcoin that was being forced to sell out, other people to get out of their positions, but it was all the altcoins. So that's why you saw across all the markets this big drop.
Yeah, and it's a layered effect. So a little bit of bad news, everything. It's as I say, it's death by 1,000 cuts. It's not just the first story, then it's a second story,
right.
And then all of a sudden it tips. It's a tipping point, and then all of a sudden, once it reaches that tipping point and things start to slide south, they start to go quickly.
Right.
I've always understood the markets they go up really fast, but they go down twice as fast.
Right.
So obviously we look, we ended up, I think over 64,000 was our high, and ended up roughly around 51, 52.
Well, and today, right now, hopefully I'm not going to mess this up, we're at 56.8 right now. So that's right. So we're coming back. And so as your last point on the thing that you're sharing says, the long-term fundamentals are very strong for Bitcoin right now. So, we're rebounding very quickly. So we'll see what comes out this week. And so some of this stuff, some people are actually suggesting, don't know if we're actually suggesting that, but there's some suggestions out there that this was sort of a little bit of manipulated news, and some of it's truth and half truth, some of it is real truth. Who knows what happened? But to realize that this is a no different type of market, an asset investment market that can be manipulated by the powers that be in different things. And so we just have to realize we're part of that as an average Joe individual. You're part of that. And so just so that you're not going into do it naively. So, all right. So you want to move on to something else here? You want to unshare, and I'll move on to something that I have here.
Figure out how to unshare. I think
that blue button.
Yep. Got it.
Beautiful.
I still have it on my screen.
Just go back to your tab, the StreamYards tab, honey, at the top.
Okay. Oh, I couldn't see it.
Can you see it now?
Yep. Yeah. Well, there was something covering up. There was something that came in that said I had to click out of. So now there we go. I mean,
okay, so we're going to go back. I'm going to share my screen now. Okay, so something I just wanted to share real quick. This is not news. If you're new to crypto, I don't want you to feel this is how I was when we first got into it. I was kind of intimidated to look at a trading chart. And so just because you look at a trading chart doesn't mean you have to become a day trader. So I would strongly encourage you to go to tradingview.com. You can get a free account. I would not suggest getting a paid account yet. I did probably after about a month because I'm a little, my personality type is that I want to dig in deeper into something. So the more that you pay on tradingview.com, the more indicators you can get, and don't worry about what that is, and more details.
Free version.
What's that?
Go for the free version.
Well, but there's actually some paid versions are actually worth it depending upon what you want to do.
So, free is good, at least, until you start to become comfortable.
Yeah. And so I would highly suggest go to tradingview.com. And then once you get an account set up, you're going to go over to this area over here to the far left. And I already have it on Bitcoin, but you would click on that, and then you're going to type in BTC USD. And so then that's this one here, and then it's going to bring up Bitcoin like this. And if you can see in the upper left-hand corner, there's the D there. That means this is on the daily chart. And so again, if you're new to crypto, being on a trading chart doesn't mean you have to trade it. Just you need to start to understand it. And the one thing that I like about crypto is I sort of feel like this is something that crypto is about. I honestly think for the average person about starting to kind of take control of your finances, and you need to get into a little bit more of the details and not feel like, well, I'm not a financial advisor, or I'm not a financial trader, or a day trader, or whatever. There's no way I can understand this. You can. It's not hard. It's just a matter of watching enough YouTube videos or people that can just teach you some details, and it's about kind of taking the control into your own hands. And so click on the part there that says D. And if you look at the bottom here, you can see this was January, and then here's February, March, and April at the bottom. Okay. And then each one of these bars represents a day. So if you can see the bar that I'm at now, that says April the 18th, April the 17th. And so that's a full 24-hour period. That's all that means. And then these green and red guys over here, these are called your candles, the candles for each day. And so if it's green, it meant that it closed within a 24-hour period, because remember, crypto's open 24/7, 365. It's not like the stock market, that it closed higher than the day before. So if you can see the day before, it was red. And then this one, it closed higher. Now, sometimes you have a whole bunch of red or greens in a row, which means each day it closed lower and lower. That's all that means. And then you might want to click on this. And then for the free one, I think you can go. So let's go to the weekly one. So this one, each one of these bars represents a whole week. And then you can move this up and down like this if you just move your mouse or your pad for your mouse pad if you're on a laptop like I am. And so you can move it so that you can move it up and see it. So if you can see here, this was all the way, let me find it. This is when Corona happened. This is March of 2020. And so you can see since last March, just 13 months ago, how far Bitcoin has gone. Can you see that, how low that was? It was around 4,200 at the bottom of it. And then look how far we're at right now. So that's just something to kind of keep in mind. It's like, holy cow, has that really gone up? And do we have room for it to go up higher? A lot of people say we are this cycle. Okay. So I just want you to kind of get comfortable with that. And so you can go back to the day. You even go to a 4-hour. I think the free one lets you go to a 4-hour. See how much different this looks? So what I would do is bring it down, and then you can stretch this guy off to the right. You can stretch it to get it more detailed, because you're in the 4-hour now. So in the 4-hour, the price is going to change a little bit more detailed wise. And so now you can see, so here, can you see here yesterday how much of the big drop that was, that monster candle? And so they call it a candle because of the wicks that are at the top of the bottom. Okay. And then you can see, and then after 4 hours, a huge drop that was probably in the middle of the night, because I woke up about 3 a.m. and I was like, holy cow, that's huge. It dropped huge. And then I started searching on Twitter of like, what's going on? And then that's how we found out this information we talked about. And then every 4 hours, it kind of changed. It went up a little bit, then it dropped. And that probably this drop here, my guess is that when the United States woke up, and then People started reading the news and probably panicked, and some people sold because they're like, oh my gosh, okay. And then it slowly got back up. So right now we're in the red, but this is the start of today. So that doesn't mean that this red today is going to stay red. We'll see if we actually close higher today or lower. So well, let's see. Maybe some news is going to come out about, some laundering again, or I'm not even saying it could totally be laundering, but we'll see what news comes out and how this is going to affect it. So I just want to encourage you, go to tradingview.com, get a free account, type in BTC USD, and just look at Bitcoin. Play around with it. I'll talk some more tomorrow about how you can check prices, how you can put in one of my favorite indicators to put in, and that's it. This is not financial advice. This is just teaching you an education about how to just bring in Bitcoin into your trading view and just start looking just at Bitcoin. And I'll talk to you tomorrow about bringing in other altcoins if you want to watch a couple of them. So that is, that's it. So you want to talk about something else here?
Yeah, let me pull up my next screen here. Here we go. Up. Okay. Screen here. Takes me a little time. I'm almost there.
He has to sing along as he does it.
Well, I got to talk because I definitely work a lot by myself, so I talk to myself a lot, and I don't argue with myself. He
talks all the time. Yes, it's there, dear.
Fabulous. Okay, quick article over the weekend. Let me roll it up here. Bitcoin on balance sheets attracts negative attention from anti-crypto banks. Okay, so roughly this is about MicroStrategy, and anybody that's been in this arena long enough understands that MicroStrategy, Michael Saylor from MicroStrategy, is kind of the we'll call it the lead dog on the adoption of Bitcoin, and they have about 90,000 coins on their balance sheet. So, they've been acquiring for quite some time. Now, all of a sudden, HSBC, which is a Canadian bank, says that they blacklisted MicroStrategy's stock, preventing customers of the bank's online retail trading platform in Canada from acquiring the company's shares. While HSBC did not respond to Cointelegraph's request for confirmation on the report, the bank has publicly verified the news using similar statements contained in the original message shared by customers on Twitter. So the bottom line is you through their investment program at HSBC, you can't hold or basically you're not going to be able to buy MicroStrategy. I think, to me,
do you think the importance of this article is to show a possible trend of other banks or whatever other investment institutions saying this? Is that why you're saying this is kind of relevant to talk about?
Oh, okay. So yeah, I guess how I look at this is, you can look forward or you can look back. First and foremost, I see the word blacklisted. Okay, that could be just the writer of this. That's a term that is very well known. Everybody knows what blacklisting means. Okay, you're basically kicked to the curb. Okay, don't do business here. So we may have to find out the genesis of the word blacklisted. But the point is that they're saying, okay, well, you can't buy MicroStrategy here because we don't like crypto. Okay, but they hold, they have other avenues of buying other companies like here in the article, Square and Tesla. They also hold Bitcoin on their balance sheets, but they didn't get kicked to the curb. So you got to make an example out of somebody. And I think it's foolish. I think the world. I guess I want to sit across the table from one of these guys. Look, really, this is what you're gonna. This is like a child. It's like a petulant child all of a sudden stamping his feet and saying, "No, you can't come in. You can't play with my toys." Let's be honest.
But I think part of it is just I think they're trying to scare other companies from doing what MicroStrategy is doing. And so I
Yeah,
think they're making them out to be the token one they're going to talk about. And I think they're just trying to scare other companies like, don't you do that either, because we want to get in it before you guys get in it. That's what I honestly think about.
yeah, that could be great. But for every side of that coin, there's another side of that coin that's another bank that says, yeah, come on down. We'll take your business.
Right. So we'll see. We'll actually see this week when MicroStrategies, Michael Saylor, does the debate for the gold versus Bitcoin, if this somehow is brought up or not. So, all right, awesome. You want to unshare that so I can share mine?
I sure can. Let me see how there we go. Ba, ba, ba. I think this is this it? There we go. I was a little quicker.
Right. All right. Can I do the song too?
You can do whatever song you want to do.
Da, 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 da. All right. All right. So I don't know which one I'm going to share here. So I'm just going, okay, this was what I wanted to share actually. Okay. So there seems to be, I don't have the other article, but there's many articles, maybe go search today too. Different companies are saying they're going to outlaw cryptocurrency. So this one was dated just, I think, a day and a half ago. And it says peer-to-peer Bitcoin traders in Nigeria think outside the box in the wake of the CBN restrictions. After the Central Bank of Nigeria issued a directive targeting the country's cryptocurrency industry, Bitcoin and altcoin trade volumes on centralized exchanges immediately plunged. Nevertheless, though, people always find a way. The new regulations seem to have succeeded in boosting crypto trade volumes on informal markets or peer-to-peer trading platforms. And so basically they came out and said that another small kind of off-network app called Patricia, it's kind of weird that that's a woman's name there, but created this startup called Patricia, and it's a peer-to-peer where they can actually start exchanging crypto themselves. And so when people hang on, I want to share this. When people want to find a way, they will find a way. And so, and then just this morning or late last night, Nigeria came out and said, yeah, you know, maybe we're changing our mind on this. And I think on Friday, we never got around to it because we had technicalities with the stream and you were in the truck and everything while we were trying to stream, and we never got a chance to share the article. Turkey came out and said, oh, we think we're going to be banning crypto. It's going to be, you're not going to be able to use it in our country.
They also banned breathing.
People found a way around that too, right? And then so many countries have come out. India has come out numerous times and said, yeah, we think we're going to ban it. And so if you're invested in Bitcoin right now, this is something for you just to know and understand. And this is, again, not financial advice, but for you to think about and not panic and possibly not sell, but just possibly think, if you were my kids, I would say, hold on to it for now. Look at XRP. They said that the SEC said they were going to ban it or whatever. They had to make a ruling on it. And a ton of people sold it, but a ton of people held it waiting for the ruling. And so some people are saying that possibly these bannings are a way for the bigger hands to get the bigger part of the pie. Think a piece of pie and it's delicious, like crypto's delicious. And who's got the bigger hands? They want to get in and eat more of the delicious pie before you get it. So they say, oh, that pie might be poisonous. You better not eat it. Let us eat it first. And then we'll let you know. Well, then by the time you get back to the pie's almost gone. Or you just have a little bit of the crumbs left. And you're just like, wow, there we go. The average Joe gets left out of eating the good pie. So don't get frightened off. If you were my kids, I would say, this is my advice to my children. Don't get frightened off. Be cautious, but also realize that, you know, a lot of these countries change their mind because they want a bigger piece of the pie. And so pay attention that when you hear something is being banned, it might not truly be banned. Keep following the news on that. So start as a new consumer into this industry or considering getting into it. When you see that a country says they're going to ban it, follow up a week later, write it down on a piece of paper, go back and check and see, or go back a month later and see if they change their mind. Because a lot of these countries say it and then they backtrack. And so we have I'm going to share another screen here. I don't know if I can find it. Hang on. I want to share another one. So We should have like a little song. Da, 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 da. The U.S. SEC is expected to impose fair amounts of regulation on cryptocurrencies, says the former chairman. Scary, scary. Oh, no, not that. And so we have a new SEC chairman, Gary Gensler, but he's very pro crypto as far as we know. I shared over last week, go back to one of our previous videos. MIT had a course back in 2018, and he was the one that led the Bitcoin and blockchain course and talked about it. Excellent thing. I put the link in that video. You can take the free course on MIT. Gensler did a great job with it. Taught it in the Socratic method. If you don't know what that is, it's where it's like a roundtable discussion and you all kind of discuss it. It was excellent. And so now they're saying like, oh, be careful, guys. The SEC's a fair amount of regulation. Maybe that's not a bad thing. Some regulation is not bad, so things don't get out of hand, but that doesn't mean that they're going to outlaw it or whatever. They have come out and said that that cryptos are considered a physical asset right now for tax considerations. And so that's a good thing. That's actually like a really good thing. That's great for your investment portfolio. So just don't get scared off by headlines, because remember, news organizations want salacious titles to bring you in or to scare you or whatever. So that is that kind of thing there. So go ahead, dear, and do anything else you want to talk about.
I would just say,
or anything else you want to share,
I have one more item to share, but just a quick talk about regulation and stuff. I think that shows that the asset is maturing now, because now you have to regulate it, and it's not that it's not a regulation of everything. It's what I think really it's trying to regulate the space when you come into this market, so people don't get cheated, screwed, however you want to define it. So regulation is fine, just tread lightly. So let me go into.
Just don't be scared off go ahead. You keep looking up yourself. Just don't be scared off if they say something, because
I would agree.
One bit of information can be told 10 different ways, and what is the truth behind it? So just, it's not necessarily a bad thing. So go ahead, dear. What do you want to share with us?
Let's see if I can get this right. Do I have? Okay, we should be there. Are we there?
Yep. We're talking about Spencer Schiff and Peter Schiff.
Yep. I'm going to quick read their tweet.
Can you explain to people who might be new to this who Peter Schiff is?
Peter Schiff is a chief economist. He's kind of a gold guy. He's been around very long. Excuse me?
Is he wealthy?
I don't know if he's wealthy. I believe he is. I don't know. Let me go ask him. I'm assuming doing what he does for a living, and he's kind of top dog of gold. One of the guys that when you listen to, I've listened to him very little. So let me get into it, and we can kind of bat it around here a little bit. So Spencer Schiff is his son, and I'm going to do his tweet real quick, and then I'll do Peter's, and then I'll give you kind of a summary of what I think is going on here. So Spencer says, Bitcoin is far from a joke. It's the embodiment of monetary revolution. It's quite bizarre that you of all people have no understanding what's going on. And then hashtag Bitcoin is yesterday. Hashtag Dogecoin is tomorrow. Dogecoin is better at being Bitcoin than Bitcoin. You're just too old to understand the new technology, behind Dogecoin. Ask your younger brother Preston to explain it to you. He's 7 and he gets it. And I think this is a little bit of tongue in cheek. This is a dad kind of testing. This is how I look at this. I've listened to Peter Schiff just a little bit. He actually, I never found him to be. I found him to be very kind of. What's the word I'm looking for? Reasonable. I like reasonable people. He seems reasonable. I disagree with him on his Bitcoin thesis, but maybe he's challenging his son on this. I mean, it's really a father-son, because as you know, I've had three kids and they're boys, so dads have a tendency to challenge their sons and don't want them to necessarily, like when we've ever played sports, I wouldn't let my kids want to beat me because I didn't want to make
you challenge our boys.
Yeah. Well, okay, and then let's go to the point when we were playing
Chess.
chess, and then I got beat in 2 moves, and
Yeah.
it's kind of a slap at your ego, but in reality, if you think about it, it's like that's exactly what the objective is here, is to have the individual not be given something, but to be challenged. And I really think Peter is challenging Spencer's uh, his thought process on this. And maybe Peter doesn't believe in it. Maybe
Well,
he
you
does.
got a soft spot for Peter, huh?
What's it? No, I don't necessarily have it. No, you know what?
Are
I
you
don't.
a fanboy of Peter?
What's that?
I didn't think you were a fanboy for Peter Schiff.
No, I'm not. You know what? Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna listen to him a little bit more, and I'm gonna give you a little bit more a fair assessment because I've only listened to him a little bit. I just found him to be reasonable when he's talking about economics. I'm
I'm
not
going to actually change your name. Sorry, I'm going to actually. I'm thinking
okay.
smart,
Whatever.
smart alecky. I'm going to change your name instead of Mark. See, on Friday somehow the streaming platform called him Funky Chicken. We have no idea. I'm going to change you tomorrow to like Peter Schiff's fan club. Go ahead. I didn't think you actually like. I thought you used to be kind of snarky about him. Okay.
No, you know what? It's I've okay. I'll tell you what. I take it with a grain of salt. Sometimes you can get, you know, crappy about somebody. And I think sometimes that keeps you from listening to someone. So I think as we get older, it's easier to get kind of set in your ways and say, "Well, I he said this thing, so I'm mad about it." No, I think it's good that he, in some respects, maybe maybe not so much as a economist, but maybe from a father-son relationship, he's challenging his son, and Spencer will be stronger for it. I mean, he doesn't back down. I give him a lot of credit. I'm not. This isn't about being Peter Schiff's fanboy. This is about saying to Spencer, then keep giving it back. Don't
I
take.
actually want to know what the mom's like. I don't know if
I, I,
Mr. Schiff is still married. You know, if Spencer is his mom is still in, you know,
yeah.
part of the family unit as far as, you know, if they're still all together. But actually, I would find it interesting because I know how anyways, I won't even. I'll digress into
Yeah,
it.
I just think obviously, you know, sometimes we can say things in public that we may not say in private, and vice versa.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just like the fact that there's this kind of this tension between the two. I'm sure it's a loving relationship, but I would tell Spencer, you know, if you believe in something, fight for it. It's obviously an arena that you're in and you feel comfortable with. So get out your shield, get out your sword, and fight. So that's
And as getting up to that, if you're a newbie to this, look up Spencer Schiff and Peter Schiff, and even Twitter says on the side margin they're relevant people. So,
yeah.
anyways, all right. So I'm going to go on. We're on 32 minutes here, so we have a little bit more to go, and then we'll need to get off. And Mark and I need to go work today. Let's see what else I want to talk about. This is just something we can quick share. So in Myanmar, strict limits have been placed. They've been having some economic issues of late and a little bit issues with, I think, their government. And so now they have strict limitations have been placed on withdrawals of money per day. Hundreds of people are queuing up to withdraw money in the ATMs. I'm just going to quick play this. And so I'm not suggesting this is going to happen in America anyways, but just so if you don't realize this is happening in other parts of the world, look at these long lines. And so, you know, just watch how long this keeps going. People are just lining up. This looks like at a mall or something. And just hundreds, if not thousands of people are lining up to get money out. And then,
ouch.
Yeah. And so the thing is that at least as Mark and I feel, and what we would advise to our children, that, you know, having some emergency money available in crypto might not be a bad thing for our family to do in case anything were to ever happen. You never know when there's going to be a crisis that happens, that you have access to money that is not at a bank where where this country, I'm not saying the United States is ever going to limit us as far as how much we can withdraw or not on any given day, but it is just another avenue to have peace of mind in case something happens. So if you're not, aware of that's happening. It's just something to consider. So I want to share something else. Okay, so we're going to talk about this with Mark before we head off. Okay, it says every person I talk to in the construction industry is talking about the housing market crashing. So many supply chains have a problem that it's wild. The most interesting part is the people at the top, 8 in complete denial. He meant to put are in complete denial, while the pleb blue collar guys are completely based. And so, Mark, you and I were talking about this last night. Do you honestly think that the housing market will crash due to the supply chain problem? Because I don't. I don't think it's going to crash because of that at all. I mean, we're okay. I'm sorry. I asked you a question. I want to, I guess, say this. Maybe you can pivot from here. We're in the construction business. We run a remodeling and painting business, and there's not a tremendous. We have lumber issues here in Chicago area, so that is a little bit of a supply chain, but we are swamped with work. People are doing work on their homes. Some people are saying, oh, people aren't doing remodeling and add-ons. And in Illinois, Chicago area, people are, because in Illinois, we have kind of a more of a lockdown like some of the other states like New York and California. And so people are home, kids are home from school, people are working from home. People aren't traveling. They're nervous about, I don't think we can actually say the word, the big CV 19 around here. And so people are doing things. And so at least in our state, we don't see there's any sort of housing crash because of supply chain. What do you think?
Well, I guess how I look at this and say, okay, when is there going to be a housing crash? At some point in time in the future. I think anything. I think when you're flooding the market with money, and it's that money is moving towards assets. Eventually, when, who knows? But I don't see it happening anytime soon.
And I don't think it's going to be a crash. Do you think it's going to be a crash?
Define crash, I guess.
I know that. That's what I'm saying. Like, for the way that, again, remember we talked earlier about salacious titles,
Yeah. Well, okay. So do I see a crash? No. Let's use 2008 as a point in time by which the market kind of did crash. Okay.
Completely different scenario, though.
I'm not disagreeing with that.
Yeah.
What I am saying is if you want a point of reference that most adults can recognize, if you're back in 2008, which seems like forever, if you were a young adult owning a home, or a young adult, let's say in your early 20s, from there on up, you kind of know what that looks like. Okay. So do I see the supply? I think the supply chain keeps things from, if the supply chain is slow, that means markets can't, homes can't be built. So if you don't have product, it slows the process down. So it to me doesn't seem like in any time, supply chain's got to get kind of filled again because of what's going on in the last year.
That'll drive up the prices of new home construction because.
Well, you're seeing that. You're seeing demand go up because supply of homes is low. People aren't moving. They're not selling. They don't want to sell because they don't want
people in their homes to walk through their home right now because of
that's the narrative. But maybe people just aren't moving because they just don't want to move. Right. I mean, sometimes it's like, well, why do I want to move now? So we see it in our customer base. There are some people that are moving and some aren't. And generally the people that are moving, from what I see, and the evidence is anecdotal, they're generally a little bit older. They're retiring. They're going to a state that's a little bit more friendly to their fixed incomes.
I think that the article that I was talking about wasn't about people moving. It was about home. So the topic we were talking about was about the housing prices were going to go up because of supply chain issues. So the construction industry will cause, this major kind of crisis because of supply chain. So I think some of the homes being built, that might slow it down or raise the price of those homes. But then there's the other flip of it, is that there's homes There's a shortage of homes on the market for sale because a majority of people don't want people traipsing through their home with the pandemic issue going on, and don't want to have tons of people coming in and touching their doors and opening up closets, and then everything's got to be washed down. And so that's driving up home prices. But as far as this article was written from a crisis in the home construction business in general. So you have a new home construction and then you have home remodeling. We're finding in the home remodeling of existing homes, like your own home, there's a huge increase in that. People are putting money in their homes and upgrading them because some people want to stay. And then some people like us, we're remodeling our home, our bathrooms, because we do want to sell in the next year. And just, for whatever reason we want to sell, we might necessarily move out of Illinois, but it's just the fact that we want to sell. And so we are going to upgrade some parts of our home that need it. So just remember that when you see something doesn't mean it's always what it is. You need to kind of check with people within the industry. So I just wanted to talk about that because that's something within our own industry.
We're seeing some, we're seeing, for the last year, really, I tell people, open your eyes and just something will strike you as odd. I go through the lumber yard and all of a sudden there'd be supplies of stuff that's always there in great demand. In fact, I had to go out of state to buy lumber last year for a deck project, deck material that I couldn't find anywhere in.
Don't tell everybody where it's at though. If our competitors are watching, don't tell them where you found the lumber.
No, it was just that kind of opened my eyes a little bit because it was like, wow. I mean, I literally, and one of the vendors said to me, he goes, we may not have this product till next year. And this was in August of last year. And I'm like, are you kidding me? So yeah, I see some of that. Do I see housing market crashing? I don't see it anytime soon. I'm not quote unquote economist, the guy that says, oh yeah, I just don't see it. I remember in 2008, and I'll tell a quick story and then I'll be done. So in 2008, I was at a home. I was looking at a project for a homeowner. I forgot they were ready to put the house on the market, or they wanted some quick repairs done because their house was on the market. And literally by the time I got there, they had several bidders bidding this house over $200,000. It went from.
I hear people are price, like they're bidding. There's a bidding war going on even now.
It was people moving up and going to second home. It was absolute crazy. And I remember walking out of the house, looking at the house at the curb, saying that $400,000 house is not worth $600,000 in my estimation. But people were throwing money at it. So I don't see that now, where I'm out. I see prices kind of slowly elevating, maybe at a greater percentage than they were. But back then, it just seemed like Katie barred the door. It was just like, we got money and we're gonna woohoo and buy a house and we don't care. And it was just total. It felt like absolute total speculation, in my opinion.
So I think why are some people might be saying, why, if this is a crypto Bitcoin channel, why are we talking about housing markets? It's just something that it's a physical asset you can put your money into, invest in. So do you consider your home an investment, or do you consider an investment property? And so there's two different things, an investment in your home and your family, or an investment where you would want to buy a piece of property to rent and make money off of. And so crypto Bitcoin is also an investment that you can put your money into. And so people, because of low interest rates, are trying to find ways to put their money into things that they can actually make some money off of. And so if you can get a home mortgage at a fixed low rate right now, which they are, it might be a great investment for you. Some people might want to sell, like Mark and I, to make the most out of our home while the prices are going up due to supply and demand issues, because we want to take out of the home as much of the profits that we have in it, and then do something with that money. We haven't quite, we have some ideas, but we're not going to share it on here.
A new boat sounds good, like the one behind me.
Yeah, please. That's what he's dreaming of behind him. So anyways, so we have more to talk about, but we're going on 45 minutes and Mark needs to head off to his remodeling and painting job. And I have to work for our business and do other things for our family here. We'll talk more about it tomorrow, but the challenge to you today is go on tradingview.com, start a free account. Just look at Bitcoin, BTC, USD, look it up. If not, watch the replay and watch how I showed you how to do it. Just get familiar with it. Okay. The second thing is maybe go on there's a website called cointelegraph.com. That's what it's called, right, Mark?
Yes.
Yeah. Cointelegraph.com. And it's all crypto news. Okay. That's what it's called, coin, like crypto coin or crypto altcoin or whatever, Bitcoin. And it's all crypto news. Start watching that and seeing are some of the titles salacious or not, and read it. And then maybe go just search up some of those other things and then just just don't take everything with a grain of salt. And then over the course of a month, some things kind of shake out and then you see what's the truth that comes out of that or how everything kind of solidifies. And then realize tomorrow we're going to come in or tomorrow, Wednesday, we're going to talk about the really big debate. Go back to one of our replays and watch, I think it was our second video. We talked about the big debate that's coming up this Wednesday. Make sure you register for it. We'll come tomorrow and give you the link again so you can register for it. And it's going to be an awesome thing to watch on Wednesday. And we'll probably talk about it on Wednesday and Thursday. So I think we're going to end the broadcast. Anything you want to say before we say goodbye?
Not really. Just keep your eyes open, observe, listen, take in, from your daily routine, listen to people, listen to the plumber,
listen to the computer bring in emails.
all those emails. Holy cow.
That's my computer. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I just say, just keep your eyes open, keep your ear to the ground, listen. Sometimes you hear certain things in the news and sometimes you see something that's different. Trust yourself. We'll leave it at that.
Okay? All right, you guys have a great day and thanks for tuning in. Like, share, subscribe, all that jazz. And we're here, just an average Joe couple. We run a remodeling and construction business, and to let you know that cryptocurrencies is not that scary. You can handle it. And we're here just to show you what we know and help pull you along with us because it's an exciting time and it's fun. So everybody have a great day.
Take care.
Bye. Whoops.